We did it, ladies and gentlemen. We officially made it to 50 Super Smash Bros. Moveset videos. I'm genuinely surprised it's been almost 2 years since we first started off on this trail. I was very worried at first that no one would want to watch some guy make a bunch of movesets for a game that hadn't exactly gotten any updates since 2021, but I was very surprised to see how much people were interested in seeing moveset videos. And it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I had to thank every single one of you who watch my videos and stay up to date with everything Super Smash Bros. Related. If it weren't for fans like you, then I wouldn't be here celebrating the 50th moveset video. And speaking of that, I figured I'd go ahead and give you all a hint as to who this character is. I am just going to go and say something right off the bat though. This is not going to be a character many will recognize. In fact, I'd be surprised if you even knew of this franchise. But just because you may not know the character doesn't mean you need to turn off the video. Because rest assured, this might be my most passion-filled moveset out of every other moveset beforehand. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and see what the 50th Super Smash Bros. Moveset video is. Cue the intro! They're the citizens of your town. It's MySim from the MySim series. I can only imagine every single one of you watching this video probably have no idea what MySims is, so let me explain this hidden gem of a series. MySims is a series of games that originally released on the Wii in 2007, and is a spin-off of the widely controversial The Sims series. Despite being a spin-off of The Sims, MySims was aimed for a much younger audience and eventually gained the attention of many families worldwide. It may not have been a particularly popular spin-off, but most people who played it were immediately drawn to the customizable main character, the goofy yet lovable citizens, and the simple yet unique gameplay. In this game, you play as a customizable avatar who possesses a unique ability to build anything out of objects called essences. With these essences, you must rebuild a rundown town and help various citizens with tasks to help improve the town so it can be the best place to live in. But today, MySim here will be moving to a whole new town known as the Super Smash Bros. Roster that houses some of the most iconic video game characters of all time. So starting off, MySim here would be an average midway class fighter. They'd have 2 jumps and no other movement options. But now, let's dive into their costumes. Now, the costumes were a challenge because of one tiny reason. There are way too many costumes that MySim can wear throughout the series. Seriously, coming up with costumes for this particular character became nearly impossible. Since the character is already customizable, that means you can have more than just 8 costumes. But then, after a long time of thinking, I had a very bizarre yet fitting idea. MySim here can look and sound just like anyone within the MySim series. So I then decided that the costumes would have MySim look and sound just like the various MySims characters throughout the series. So for the default appearance, MySim will dress like the goofy yet lovable bellboy known as Buddy. Particularly Buddy's design in the game MySims Agents, which is hands down one of the best Wii games to date. I don't care what the reviewers said about this game, it's fantastic. Yeah, I probably should have warned everyone at the beginning. I'm very biased with MySims, so please understand that moving forward. Anyways, for the first alt, it'll be the DJ with sweet beats, DJ Candy. Then for the second alt, it'll be the daredevil who knows no limitations, Chaz McFreely, who is considered to be the most iconic MySims character in the entire franchise. Why is he not the default, you ask? because I'm biased and I think Buddy's superior. Now for the third alt, it'll be the green-thumbed flower sales lady known as Poppy. For the fourth alt, it'll be the bookworm who loves everything smart, Gordon. For the fifth alt, it'll be the mayor from the first MySims game, Mayor Rosalind. Then for the sixth alt, it'll be the greedy, power-hungry dictator known as Morcabus. And the final alt will be Poppy's older sister who loves everything that's dark and dreary, Violet. Now with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into the moveset. Now before I begin, I do need to address something. MySim here will have a very important gimmick that reflects one of the game's most important features, essences. I mentioned it briefly at the beginning, but allow me to go deeper into what essences were. In MySims, your goal was to fix up a town that had basically been deserted because the person who built the whole town mysteriously disappeared. In order to bring the town back to its former glory, the player had to harvest essences by either digging it up from the ground or by treating some of the citizens a specific way. Once essences were attained, the player had to use these essences to help out the citizens with certain tasks, specifically building houses or objects that the citizens needed. Now there were a total of 6 different types of essences that could be found within the first game, and each one were attached to specific characters. For example, Poppy here has an attachment towards things that are adorable and bright, so she's constantly seen with cute essences, while her sister, on the other hand, loves very bleak things and rainy days, so she's constantly seen with the spooky essences. Now for Smash, MySim will be utilizing 4 out of 6 of these essences to increase certain attacks and attributes that they have. How do they do that, you may be asking? Well, above MySim's fire display, there's a small bar that shows off the 4 different essences, with each one having a meter that fills up over time. Once one of these meters fills up all the way, then MySim will double the effects of that essence for about 20 seconds. Then, once those 20 seconds are up, that essence meter will completely reset, causing MySim to have to regain that specific type of essence all the way. Now the meter itself is actually a reference towards MySim's Party, a game that is very much like the Mario Party series. Instead of using essences in that game, they had stuff called charms, and there were basically specific attributes that each character could have to help compete in various minigames. Now getting into the specific essences and their functions, the first type of essence is the Fun Essence. The Fun Essence is the most common type of essence that MySim will be utilizing. When MySim starts collecting this particular essence, MySim's ground and neutral attacks will deal slightly more damage and knockback compared to normal. Not only that, but their movement speed slightly increases, meaning that MySim will move a bit faster than before. However, the downside is that their aerial attacks don't deal nearly as much damage or knockback compared to before, and their jumps also become slightly lower, so they won't be jumping nearly as high as they used to. The second type of essence is the Studious Essence. This one is basically the opposite of the Fun Essence, because its main function is that it greatly increases the height of the jumps and also increases the damage and knockback of all of their aerial attacks. But because of this, MySims' grounded game is basically going to be incredibly terrible, because their grounded neutral attacks and movement speed become greatly weakened. Third type of essence is the Geeky Essence. This essence mostly increases your defense and movement speed, so this one isn't really used for increasing your attack power. When it increases your defense, the damage and knockback you received will greatly decrease, meaning that you'll be harder to launch when players try to attack you. Now it may not increase any of your attacks, but it unfortunately does decrease the damage and knockback dealt with all of your specials, so keep that in mind. And the final type of essence is the Spooky Essence. This one might be the worst out of all the essences, because it only increases the damage and knockback on all of MySims' specials, and decreases their defense and movement speed. Despite that, this essence is great for the recovery department, because not only does the jump height increase, but you'll also gain a floaty effect every time you jump, so kind of like Ness's and Sora's jumps. Now that we've talked about the essences, you may be wondering how you actually get the essences. I mentioned how the meter slowly fills up over time, but that's not the main way to actually get essences. So how do you properly get essences? By punching opponents right in the face! I'm not kidding about that. In order to get essences, you need to attack the opponents. When the opponents keep getting attacked, they periodically drop essences from themselves. These essences will take on many different forms, just like how it is in the original series, but you'll always know the type of essence it is by the color it glows. Something else I should mention is that the opponents can't actually grab these essences. Only the MySims player can grab them. The way to grab them is by running into them, just like how it works in the original series. Now there's one more thing I'll be incorporating with these essences. Depending on who the opponent is, you will more than likely get a specific essence that directly ties into that specific character. For example, if you're fighting against a character like Mario, he'll mostly drop a bunch of fun essences, which is just a nod to the fact that Mario is a very fun and energetic character. Meanwhile, if you fight against someone like Bowser, he'll mostly drop a bunch of spooky essences, implying that Bowser is a very creepy and menacing character. This means that depending on who you go up against, your tactics are going to severely change. Now that you know everything about this gimmick, let's go ahead and talk about MySims' neutral attacks. Now, coming up with the neutral attacks for MySim was definitely a challenge, because there's not really a whole lot of fighting that takes place within the MySim series. With that said though, I did come up with attacks based on animations that some of the citizens have in the first game, and some things that we see some of the other characters do within the course of the series. So starting off with a jab, it'll be a 3-hit jab that can lead into a flurry attack. The first 3 hits will have MySim punch forwards 3 times. It's pretty much like many fighters' jabs, except it comes out slightly quicker, but doesn't deal as much damage. Now if you use the flurry attack, MySim will equip a butter knife and swing it multiple times. However, when the flurry attack is finished, MySim will accidentally let go of the butter knife and launch it into a random direction every time they use the flurry attack. As a funny side note, the butter knife can still damage opponents after it's thrown into the air, but it's only small flinching damage at best and disappears as soon as it hits someone. This references what Buddy did every time he was inside a restaurant in MySims Agents. He just randomly starts swinging a butter knife like it was a sword and accidentally throw it up into the air. Don't play with knives, kids. For the dash attack, MySim will accidentally trip and fall right under their face. It's a surprisingly strong dash attack that can launch foes very high, but there's a lot of end lag as MySim tries to get back up onto their feet. Similar towards the flurry attack, this references yet another animation that Buddy has where he just randomly falls flat in his face. For the side tilt, MySim equips a pickaxe and swings it from high to low. It's surprisingly strong compared to most side tilts, but there's a bit of start lag and a bit of end lag. For the down tilt, MySim will stomp at the ground a single time. It's a very simple down tilt that doesn't deal much damage, but there is an interesting property with this move. Just like Luigi's down taunt, if MySim uses this move on a player trying to recover back onto the stage, then that player will automatically be spiked if MySim uses this move on the edge of the stage. It may sound incredibly strong on the edge, but there's a bit of start lag and a lot of end lag once the attack ends. For the up tilt, MySim waves a wand upwards a single time. Despite waving their wand once, it leaves behind a small trail of magic that can deal small multiple hits of damage until the final hit. This references the game MySim's Kingdom, where the player was given a wand to help out the kingdom by making various objects. Now for the forward smash, MySim will equip an axe and slam it downwards a single time. As you might have guessed, this smash attack is incredibly deadly, as there's a really great chance that MySim will get early KOs with this smash attack. But unfortunately, there's a lot of start lag and a lot of end lag. This references one of the minigames in MySim's party. For the down smash, MySim equips a shovel and digs the ground in front of himself. If players happen to be right in front of MySim when the down smash was used, then MySim will automatically bury the opponent into the ground, just like Villager's down smash. However, unlike Villagers, this move only works in front of MySim. It doesn't work from behind. For the up smash, MySim will equip the wand again, but this time they pierce it straight into the sky. It's pretty great for launching foes very high into the air, but it only has a tiny hitbox. For the neutral air, MySim rides on the ski board and spins multiple times, dealing multiple hits of damage to the final hit. This references the ski jump minigame in MySim's party. For the forward air, MySim will equip their pickaxe again and swing it from high to low. Not only is it incredibly strong, but it can also spike anyone if they happen to be too close. For the back air, MySim equips the axe again and swings it directly behind themselves. It's even more stronger compared to the forward air, but that also means this move has a tad bit of end lag. For the down air, MySim will drop a stack of books beneath himself, effectively becoming Steve's down air. Despite that, MySim doesn't plummet to the ground like Steve does, so keep that in mind. And finally, for the up air, MySim juggles 3 tomatoes above himself, which deals multiple hits of damage until the final hit. This references what Gino occasionally does in MySims Agents, but where MySim moves into town is with their special attacks. For MySims' neutral special, MySim will dig up a treasure chest from the ground and open it. Once the chest is open, a bunch of random essences pop out of the chest and onto the stage. This special is less for attacking and more for collecting other types of essences. Despite that, there is something else you can do with this move. Just like Peach's down special, there is a good chance that once the chest opens, some items will pop out so long as the items are turned on. This references one of the other main ways to collect essences in the original MySims game. Now for the side special, MySim will equip one of the most iconic items in MySims Agents, the F-Space Manipulator. In its original game, the F-Space Manipulator was used to move various objects that were in the player's way, and for Smash, it'll act no different. Just simply tapping the special button will have MySim equip the F-Space Manipulator and immediately grabs an item, projectile, or even players that happen to be right in front of MySim. Tapping the special button again will have MySim throw whatever it was that they grabbed onto. Now that's just if you tap the special button, but if you hold it, then MySim will aim where they throw whatever it is that they grabbed. Now depending on what they grabbed, MySim will throw it very far or very short. So if MySim grabs someone like, say, Pichu, then they'll be able to throw Pichu closer to the edge of the screen. Doing that with a character like Bowser would only have them throw a set distance. Now for the down special, this will be an innovative special that reflects another one of the most iconic elements of MySims, building. Specifically building furniture. Once the down special is activated, MySim will use a wand and create 1 out of 3 different types of furniture to use on the battlefield. The 3 types of furniture that appear will be a chair, a coffee table, and a small bed, with each one dealing a different amount of damage depending on the size of the object. Once the furniture is on screen, it remains in the place it was spawned at indefinitely and can easily be destroyed once it deals a total of 20% of damage. It also does count as an extra platform, so players could easily stand on top of it. This may sound like a very lame special, but this down special can also be used as a sort of edge guarding tool to prevent players from coming back on the stage. The downside with this move is that you can only have 1 piece of furniture on screen at a time, so keep that in mind. And finally, for the up special, MySim will take the fight to the skies because they'll be riding inside of a jet that they get from MySim Sky Heroes, which is probably the worst game in the series. This up special mechanically works like Rob's up special, where you have to hold down the special button to continuously rise into the air. But there is one key difference. Unlike Rob's, where he just slowly descends once he runs out of fuel, MySims' jet will start flashing red once it runs out of fuel, and then immediately explodes once it reaches its max height. The explosion is surprisingly large and can launch opponents very high into the air, but I should also mention that MySim here will immediately go into freefall as soon as the jet explodes. Not only that, but once MySim lands back onto the stage, they'll unfortunately suffer a tad bit of end lag. Overall, I feel like this moveset represents all of the major MySims games in the best way possible. I did my best to make a moveset that not only fans of MySims will like, but also a moveset that regular Super Smash Bros. Players would also enjoy. And now, for the final smash. MySims' final smash will be Create a Sim. For this final smash, MySim will use up all of their essences and summon a bunch of other MySim characters to build a huge MySims logo wherever the main MySim used the final smash at. While they're building the logo, nearby players will immediately get sucked in and deal a large amount of damage and knockback to anyone who got sucked in. Then, after about 5 seconds of this madness, the player MySim will immediately slam the iconic green crystal on the top of the eye in MySims, which causes the entire logo to explode, which deals a large amount of damage and covers the majority of most stages, ending the final smash. This final smash is a direct reference towards the opening of the first MySims game. The stage of choice is MySims Town from MySims. This stage's layout is reminiscent of the Smashville stage in Smash, where there are occasional platforms that appear over time. Periodically, the stage's backdrop will change and take the players to some of the other iconic locations founded within the MySims series. In the background, you can see some of the various MySims characters cheering on the players, and also on the occasion, they may dispense some items to help certain players in battle. MySims has some of the most catchiest songs I've ever heard, so a lot of these will be pulled straight from their original games. In total, 36 songs will be included, 14 of which will be remixed.
Yeah, Nagbu!
And that would be if MySims joined Super Smash Bros. And that also wraps up the 50th Super Smash Bros. Moveset video. I know I said this at the beginning, but thank you all for continuously supporting my channel and enjoying my Super Smash Bros. Moveset videos. It truly does mean a lot to me. I never thought that in the span of just 2 years, I'd be at 1,000 subscribers, have a sponsor, or gain the attention of nearly 200,000 viewers. It's truly been amazing to see so many people continuously support my content, and I can't wait to see more support in the future. Anyways, do you have a character you'd like to see be given a Smash moveset? If so, let me know in the comments down below. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe? That way you can get notified when I put out any Super Smash Bros. Moveset videos. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.